on which the noes prevail by voice vote, the clerk will redesignate the amendment.
Amendment number 8, printed in the Congressional Record, offered by Mr. Franks of Arizona.
A recorded vote has been requested. Those in support of a request for a recorded vote will rise and remain standing. A sufficient number having arisen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 2-minute vote.
This amendment would prohibit any of the funds made available by the bill from being used to enforce the Davis-Bacon Act, which requires all federal contractors to pay their workers prevailing wage rates and benefits. Already today, the House passed the 2013 Intelligence Programs Bill by a vote of 386 to 28. The bill would authorize a $45 million increase for the Office of National Intelligence Director, and it would require a report from the Director of National Intelligence on the consequences of a military strike against Iran. Also today, the House rejected a Republican bill that would impose fines and prison terms against doctors who perform abortions for the sole purpose of controlling the gender of the child, a practice known as sex-selective abortion. The bill failed in a 246 to 168 vote. 20 Democrats voted for the bill, while 7 Republicans opposed it. The bill needed roughly 30 more votes for approval. Up next here in the House, 10 minutes of debate, a procedural vote, and then a final vote on final passage of the Veterans Bill.
On this vote, the yeas are 180, the nays are 237. The amendment is not adopted. The clerk will read.
This act may be cited as the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs and Related Agencies Appropriations Act 2013.
Jeff, Culberson needs to make a motion.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Texas rise? Gentleman from Texas.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the committee do now rise and report the bill back to the House with sundry amendments with a recommendation that the amendments be agreed to and that the bill as amended do pass.
The question is on the motion that the committee rise. All those in favor of the motion say aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Accordingly, the committee rises.
You're going to go right down there by Monica. Keep walking down there.
Mr. Chairman.
Committee of the whole House on the State of the Union has considering H.R. 5854 and consider the House Resolution 667 on the bill back to the House with sundry amendments adopted in the Committee of the Whole.
The Chair of the Committee of the Whole House on the State of the Union reports that the committee has had under consideration the bill H.R. 5854N pursuant to House Resolution 667. Reports the bill back to the House with sundry amendments adopted in the Committee of the Whole. Under the rule, the previous question is ordered. Is a separate vote demanded on any amendment reported from the Committee of the Whole? If not, the Chair will put them on gross. The question is on adoption of the amendments. Those in favor signify so by saying aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The amendments are adopted. The question is on engrossment and third reading of the bill. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. Third reading.
A bill making appropriations for military construction, the Department of Veterans Affairs and related agencies for the fiscal year ending September 30th, 2013, and for other purposes.
House will be in order. Yeah. For what purpose does the gentleman from Georgia seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I have a motion to recommit at the desk.
Is the gentleman opposed to the bill?
I am opposed in its current form.
The clerk will read the motion.
Mr. Barrow of Georgia moves to recommit the bill, H.R. 5854, to the Committee on Appropriations with instructions to report the same back to the House forthwith with the following amendments. Page 11, line 17. Insert after the dollar amount the following. Reduced by $56,652,000. Page 31, line 5. Insert after the dollar amount the following. Increased by $28,326,000.
House will be in order. The gentleman from Georgia is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise to offer one final amendment to the Military Construction and Veterans Affairs and Related Agencies Appropriations Bill. 3 days ago, on Memorial Day, I held town hall meetings at the American Legion Post in Augusta and Statesboro, Georgia. During these town hall meetings, veterans repeatedly expressed two of their most pressing concerns for our country. First, they're concerned that our increasing debt puts America on a path toward a fiscal crisis that threatens our national defense and the promises we've made to veterans and seniors. Second, they're concerned that the men and women returning home today after fighting for our freedoms are not receiving the proper medical care for the injuries they face, like traumatic brain injury, post-traumatic stress disorder, and loss of a limb.
The gentleman is correct. The House is not in order. Gentleman from Georgia may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After my town hall meeting in Augusta, a Vietnam veteran came up to me and described how he had suffered from an undiagnosed case of PTSD until just a few years ago, and that his life had been a struggle for a long time as a result. This gentleman's candor reminds us of what we already know. In too many cases, we fell short in providing Vietnam veterans the care and dignity they deserved after giving the best years of their lives to our service. We cannot make the same mistakes today we made then. My amendment will do two things to try to be responsive to the veterans I represent. It takes $56 million of pre-existing surplus money from the BRAC closure account and applies half, just $28 million, to veterans' medical and prosthetic research, and the other half to deficit reduction. This figure doesn't come out of thin air. That's the unanimous recommendation of the VFW, the Paralyzed Veterans of America, the Disabled Veterans of America, and AMVETS in their annual independent budget recommendations as the additional amount necessary to provide for appropriate program growth and to cover anticipated inflation. This money will go directly to research and treatments unique to the 21st century combat our soldiers face overseas today. Again, this is the final amendment to the bill. It will not kill the bill or send it back to committee. If adopted, the bill will immediately proceed to final passage as amended. For all these reasons, I encourage my colleagues to support this motion, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Georgia yields back his time. The gentleman from Texas.
Mr. Speaker, on this bill more than any...
Does the gentleman seek recognition?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Is the gentleman opposed to the motion to recommit?
I rise in opposition to the motion to recommit.
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
This is not an amendment to the bill. This is a procedural stunt, a motion to recommit that the public and the members should not be confused about. This is a last minute, a very sad, I think, and shallow and disappointing political stunt that the members of this bill, more than any other. Mr. Speaker, the House is not in order. We have been on the floor. We have been on the floor. The House is not in order, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman is correct. House will be in order.
Of course. Mr. Speaker, our subcommittee, Sanford Bishop, your colleague from Georgia, our entire subcommittee has worked arm in arm since early this year, held numerous hearings, sought testimony from every organization, from the Veterans Administration, from any veterans organization. We have all worked arm in arm in producing a piece of legislation tonight that fully funds every need of every veteran and every active duty military member of the United States anywhere in the world. We've funded every request. We've met every need. We've left no gap unfilled. And, in fact, not only during the committee process, but also tonight, we've been on the floor from 4:30 until 8 o'clock. Anyone could have come to the floor and offered an amendment. Frankly, you could have walked down and drafted it right here on a yellow notepad and given it to the clerk and offered an amendment at any time. So this is not an amendment. This is a procedural stunt. It's disappointing and disheartening to see it offered at the last minute when we, on this subcommittee, more than any other subcommittee, have worked arm in arm in an absolutely bipartisan way in support of our troops. It is important for the members to know that our committee has fully funded the request of the Veterans Administration. We've given them everything that they needed, that they asked for, $583 million for medical and prosthetic research. We've increased funding for the VA by $2.3 billion to make sure that the needs of our veterans are met. We have increased Veterans Administration research by almost $1.9 billion, and we have, throughout this entire appropriation season, been open to any member at any time to bring us any good idea on any subject that would help our veterans. So this is not an amendment. This is a procedural motion that has nothing to do with the merits of the bill. And in fact, I want to stress to my colleagues that if during conference, if the Veterans Administration, if anyone can demonstrate to Mr. Bishop and I and to the subcommittee that there's a valid need, a demonstrable need, that the VA comes to us and says, yes, we need additional money for more research, of course we'll find room for it. There is no gap between any of us on this House floor when it comes to supporting the needs of our men and women in uniform. We, on this committee, more than any other, have worked together in a bipartisan fashion, and I urge the members to reject this last-minute procedural motion to recommit and we will work together in conference if there's truly any additional need for funding. But members, we have left no gap unfilled when it comes to our men and women in uniform, and I urge the members to vote no.
Parliamentary inquiry, Mr. Chairman.
And yield back.
Parliamentary inquiry.
This is the gentleman from New York.
My inquiry is there a motion before the House or is there a stunt before the House?
That the gentleman is not. The gentleman is not stating a parliamentary.
Is there a motion before the House, Mr. Speaker? And could you state it if there is?
Without objection, the previous question is ordered on
Mr.
the
Speaker,
motion.
parliamentary inquiry. What is before the House?
Does the gentleman from New York have a parliamentary inquiry?
Yes, Mr. Speaker. What is before the House?
The House is entertaining a motion to recommit.
A motion to recommit. Did the chair say Speaker say a motion? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Without objection, the previous question is ordered on the motion to recommit. The question is on the motion to recommit. Those in favor, please signify so by saying aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, the noes have it.
Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Georgia.
I request a recorded vote on the motion as made.
A recorded vote is requested. Those favoring a recorded vote will rise. Sufficient number having arisen, a recorded vote is ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 15-minute vote pursuant to Clause 9 of Rule 20. The chair will reduce to 5 minutes the minimum time for any electronic vote on the question of passage.
A procedural vote, the last chance to change the veteran spending bill before a vote on final passage. At the White House today, President Obama helped unveil portraits of former President George W. Bush and Laura Bush. Former President George H.W. Bush was also there for the unveiling. We're going to watch that ceremony during the vote.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 41st President of the United States, George H.W. Bush, and Mrs. Barbara Bush. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States and Mrs. Michelle Obama, accompanied by the 43rd President of the United States, George W. Bush, and Mrs. Laura Bush.
Good afternoon. I'm Fred Ryan, Chairman of the Board of the White House Historical Association. The Association is honored to be part of today's historic ceremony and to have played a role in arranging for the magnificent portraits that are about to be unveiled. The White House Historical Association was founded 50 years ago by First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy with two specific missions. The first is to educate and inform the public about the history of the White House and the distinguished group of Americans that have inhabited it. In this regard, it is an exciting time for us as we mark our 50th anniversary campaign for White House history. To the north of the White House, at historic Decatur House, we have just launched the new David Rubenstein National Center for White House History. And next year, to the south of the White House, we will open a newly redesigned White House Visitors Center. It will give the millions of visitors to Washington each year a chance to gain a broader understanding of life in the White House. If we can just acquire something on the east and west, we'll have the place surrounded. The other mission of the association is to provide funds to preserve the White House public rooms and enhance its incomparable collection of decorative and fine arts. Over the 5 decades and 10 presidents since our founding, the association is proud to have provided nearly $40 million in financial support for refurbishing and making important acquisitions for the White House. Through the portraits of our presidents and first ladies, it's a wonderful tradition that here in America's house, our country honors those who have honored us. The tradition began with the acquisition of George Washington's portrait in 1800. It was purchased by the United States government. It was viewed as such an important national treasure, it was the object of Dolly Madison's greatest concerns when the British burned the White House in 1814. The White House Historical Association has been privileged to commission the official portrait of every President and First Lady over the last 50 years and to acquire historical portraits of those who were previously missing from the White House collection. In our digital world, where so many images are mere flashes on a screen, these enduring portraits of great Americans by acclaimed artists are lasting tributes to our presidents and First Ladies and will forever be part of the White House collection. Today, the portraits of President George W. Bush and First Lady Laura Bush will be added to this unique collection of those who have occupied this house and served our nation with distinction. And to those great presidential portrait artists whose works here include Gilbert Stuart, John Singer Sargent, and Aaron Schickler, we now add John Howard Sandon. So today's event may once again prompt one of those great debates that's taken place often within the White House. Strong arguments will be made on both sides. It's not a debate over issues or between parties. It's a debate as to whether the portrait actually looks like the President and First Lady. And we will soon find that out. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce the President of the United States.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please, everybody have a seat. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Fred, for that introduction. To President George H.W. Bush and Barbara, to all the members of the Bush family who are here, it is a great privilege to have you here today. And to President and Mrs. Bush, welcome back to the house that you called home for 8 years. You know, the White House is many things at once. It's a working office, it's a living museum, it's an enduring symbol of our democracy. But at the end of the day, when the visitors go home and the lights go down, a few of us are blessed with the tremendous honor to actually live here. I think it's fair to say that every president is acutely aware that we are just temporary residents. We're renters here. We're charged with the upkeep until our lease runs out. But we also leave a piece of ourselves in this place. And today, with the unveiling of the portraits next to me, President and Mrs. Bush will take their place alongside men and women who built this country and those who worked to perfect it. It's been said that no one can ever truly understand what it's like being president until they sit behind that desk and feel the weight and responsibility for the first time, and that is true. After 3.5 years in office and much more gray hair, I have a deeper understanding of the challenges faced by the presidents who came before me, including my immediate predecessor, President Bush. In this job, no decision that reaches your desk is easy. No choice you make is without costs. No matter how hard you try, you're not going to make everybody happy. I think that's something President Bush and I both learned pretty quickly. And that's why from time to time, those of us who've had the privilege to hold this office find ourselves turning to the only people on earth who know the feeling. We may have our differences politically, but the presidency transcends those differences. We all love this country. We all want America to succeed. We all believe that when it comes to moving this country forward, we have an obligation to pull together. And we all follow the humble, heroic example of our first president, George Washington, who knew that a true test of patriotism is the willingness to freely and graciously pass the reins of power on to somebody else. That's certainly been true of President Bush. The months before I took the oath of office were a chaotic time. We knew our economy was in trouble, our fellow Americans were in pain, but we wouldn't know until later just how breathtaking the financial crisis had been, and still, over those 2.5 months, in the midst of that crisis, President Bush, his cabinet, his staff, many of you who are here today, went out of your ways. George, you went out of your way to make sure that the transition to a new administration was as seamless as possible. President Bush understood that rescuing our economy was not just a Democratic or Republican issue. It was an American priority. I'll always be grateful for that. The same is true for our national security. None of us will ever forget where we were on that terrible September day when our country was attacked. All of us will always remember the image of President Bush standing on that pile of rubble, bullhorn in hand, conveying extraordinary strength and resolve to the American people, but also representing the strength and resolve of the American people. And last year, when we delivered justice to Osama bin Laden, I made it clear that our success was due to many people in many organizations working together over many years across 2 administrations. That's why my first call, once American forces were safely out of harm's way, was to President Bush, because protecting our country is neither the work of one person nor the task of one period of time. It's an ongoing obligation that we all share. Finally, on a personal note, Michelle and I are grateful to the entire Bush family for their guidance and their example during our own transition. George, I will always remember the gathering you hosted for all the living former presidents before I took office, your kind words of encouragement. Plus, you also left me a really good TV sports package. I use it. Laura, you reminded us that the most rewarding thing about living in this house isn't the title or the power, but the chance to shine a spotlight on the issues that matter most. And the fact that you and George raised 2 smart, beautiful daughters, first as girls visiting their grandparents, and then as teenagers preparing to head out into the world, that obviously gives Michelle and I tremendous hope as we try to do the right thing by our own daughters in this slightly odd atmosphere that we've created. Jenna and Barbara, we will never forget the advice you gave Sasha and Malia as they began their lives in Washington. They told them to surround themselves with loyal friends, never stop doing what they love, to slide down the banisters occasionally, to play sardines on the lawn, to meet new people and try new things, and to try to absorb everything and enjoy all of it. And I can tell you that Malia and Sasha took that advice to heart. It really meant a lot to them. You know, one of the greatest strengths of our democracy is our ability to peacefully and routinely go through transitions of power. It speaks to the fact that we've always had leaders who believe in America and everything it stands for above all else. leaders and their families who are willing to devote their lives to the country that they love. This is what we'll think about every time we pass these portraits, just as millions of other visitors will do in the decades and perhaps even the centuries to come. I want to thank John Howard Sandin, the artist behind these beautiful works, for his efforts. And on behalf of the American people, I want to thank most sincerely President and Mrs. Bush for their extraordinary service to our country. And now I'd like to invite them on stage to take part in the presentation.
Thank you. Sit down. Sit down. Behave yourselves. Mr. President, thank you for your warm hospitality. Madam First Lady, thank you so much for inviting our rowdy friends to my hanging. Laura and I are honored to be here. Mr. Vice President, thank you for coming. We're overwhelmed by your hospitality, and thank you for feeding the Bush family, all 14 members of us who are here. I want to thank our girls for coming. I thank Mom and Dad, brother, sister, in-laws, aunts and uncles. I appreciate you taking your time. I know you.
The nays are 230. The motion is not agreed to. The question is on passage of the bill. Under Clause 10 of Rule 20, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device. This will be a 5-minute vote.
This is the last vote of the day on final passage of the Veterans Spending Bill for fiscal 2013. Wanted to mention that in the last vote you saw part of the portrait unveiling for President George W. Bush and Laura Bush. You can see all of that in our overnight programming here on C-SPAN and also at cspan.org. More about that Veterans Spending Bill. About half of the $148 billion measure is for veterans' pensions and disability payments. The Associated Press writes that 45% of the 1.6 million veterans from the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan are now seeking compensation for injuries they say are service-related. And about 1.2 million veterans are expected to file for disability claims next year, on top of a backlog of almost 1 million applicants. Tomorrow, in addition to the House, we'll also have live coverage of a Politico event looking at how states are implementing health exchanges. That's at 8:10 a.m. Eastern on C-SPAN 2. Then a House Financial Services Subcommittee looks at cybercrime affecting the financial industry at 9:30 Eastern, also on C-SPAN 2. And over on C-SPAN 3 at 9, the House Budget Committee holds a hearing on tax policy with former Florida Governor Jeb Bush and Representative Henry Waxman among the witnesses.
vote, the yeas are 407, the nays are 12. The bill is passed. Without objection, motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. The chair lays before the House the following personal requests.
Leaves of absence requested for Mr. Ginta of New Hampshire for Wednesday, May 30th, and for the balance of the week. Ms. Velasquez of New York for today and tomorrow, June 1st, and Mr. Young of Florida for today.
Without objection, the requests are granted. For what purpose does the gentleman from California seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move the House do now adjourn.
Questions on the motion to adjourn? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Accordingly, the House stands adjourned until 9 a.m. tomorrow.
In the House today, members passed a bill that reauthorizes a classified amount of funds for 16 U.S. intelligence